Hello, I'm Ted Chapin, Chairman of the American Theater Wing. Today we are acknowledging the American in our name by celebrating the 10 nonprofit companies across the country to have received the Wing's $10,000 National Theater Company grants for emerging theaters this year. All the companies have been in existence between 5 and 15 years, and each has made a substantial contribution to theater in their hometowns. And those towns stretch from coast to coast, from Philadelphia and New York on the east, to Fayetteville, Austin, Denver, and Albuquerque in the middle, to San Diego and the Watts District in Los Angeles. These particular companies were chosen for their courage, creativity, and inspiring programs.
All of these companies, as diversified as they were, they had one thing in common, and they all just wanted to enlighten as well as entertain. And that's what great theater is. Good theater is always theater that's relevant and challenges us, to go beyond our comfort zones. And if it's good, it's the kind of theater that transforms our lives for the better.
I am delighted that all of the recipients are joining us today to discuss the unique work they do. Representatives of theaters that have a community-driven mission now join us. Dennis Gromelski from Fusion in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Over the course of the last 10 years that we have found is primary to what we do. It is fusing together in a community that didn't have professional theater before, period. We are it, the only producing equity theater in New Mexico. And as we've had our blinders on and really gone forward with that mission, everything else in the community has come along.
Sima Sueco of the Mo'olelo Performing Arts Company in San Diego, California.
If we can collectively work with small and mid-sized companies that are innovating the field, the large companies that have are the flagship companies in our respective states, might be facing some challenges, as well as the national funders, and get together and as equal partners, all of us, to be able to come up with the national solutions that will advance the field.
Rachel May from Synchronicity Theater in Atlanta, Georgia.
We're dedicated to empowering women and girls through the work that we do, and we're dedicated to activating the community by doing great theater that inspires people to go back into their communities and enact social change.
And David Mack from Watts Village Theater Company in Los Angeles.
One of our challenges has been to respond to the unique needs of this community. The Watts community in Los Angeles, a predominantly Latino and African American community. We need to bring theater to them, to the streets. And so that's what we strive to do. Bring theater back to the streets where it really started. We believe that's the future for our community.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Dennis, you're the only professional theater in the entire state in terms of community.
Yeah, our community is really about our artistic community. And we're the only producing equity theater company in the state, and because of that, we find it our responsibility to be and serve as the regional theater community, as other bigger theater companies do around the country, and bring everything that means to our local community. And very specifically and very importantly, it's been a function of who we are since the beginning, as an outlet and a home for the professional artist and everything. Specifically paycheck and health insurance, and actually, quite honestly, a place to play. Mm-hmm. If you're a professional actor and you don't have any outlets, it's a bit of a problem for those who love to live in the area and yet don't have any outlets.
That's great. Sima, I hope I did okay on the title.
I'm so impressed that you could say Mo'olelo and my last name, Sueco. I'm very impressed.
Well, thank you. Tell us about the company.
Sure. Mo'olelo Performing Arts Company is a community-focused, socially conscious equity theater company. We were founded in 2004 in San Diego, and we currently do 3 shows a year, and those plays are selected with two main criteria. One is they must have significant roles for actors of color. The other is that they must offer the opportunity for us to outreach to communities that don't traditionally attend the theater. So then with each show, we then spend 6 to 18 months prior to production doing what we call a consensus organizing for theater process, which is doing the community outreach work to build stakeholders in each production and then try to serve the communities, the target communities, in a variety of ways, making the production sort of the central component of it. And then alongside with that, we are a green theater company as well. We created green theater categories and guidelines and the Green Theater Choices Toolkit, and that has since been used by theater companies from Australia to Belgium and some Broadway professionals as well. So that's just a little bit about Mo'olelo.
That's great.
Thanks.
Rachel, Synchronicity Atlanta?
Well, we actually have a lot of synchronicity with
Yes.
Mo'olelo. We are coming into our 14th season, and we're a theater that works to use great theater to activate the community towards social action. So we produce plays and build partnerships around those plays in order to help the community, help people in the community know how to go back into their own spaces and make change. So we produce our Bold Voices series, which is plays often by female playwrights. We have a really strong mission to also raise up and empower the voices of women and girls. And so we produce those plays, usually plays, I don't like issue plays, but we do try to do work that has really meaty ideas and often strong themes for women, and so that we want our audience to walk away with lots of things to talk about. And we have a family series where we do plays based on books for children and families. And we try to do really great theater that happens to work for kids and families. We don't want to do children's theater. So we try not to do it. There's a lot we're trying not to do because we want to do really good theater. And we also have a program that sprung out of a play 8 years ago called, the program's called Playmaking for Girls, where we go into detention centers and work with teenage girls who are incarcerated and help them write plays and perform plays about their lives. So that's
And the company was started by women, yes?
started by 4 women. I'm one of the founders, and the other ones have all moved off into other projects. But yeah, we have a really strong commitment to raising up women's voices. So often a lot of our designers are women. One of my favorite stories is in tech, with a whole bunch of female designers. I said, I'm going to Home Depot, what do we need? And from like 6 places in the room, everyone said, chocolate! And so I think you're in synchronicity when that's what's needed from Home Depot because of all the women.
Complete synchronicity.
That's right, that's right.
Excellent.
David Watts.
Yes, Watts Village Theater Company. We're the only show in Watts, so we're the only professional independent theater company in Watts. We've been around for 15 years. We were developed actually out of a residency from Cornerstone Theater Company.
I noticed.
And we were co-founded by Lynn Manning, a poet who's still with us, playwright as well, and Quentin Drew, who is our founding artistic director, who actually passed away around 6 years ago. And so for 15 years, we've been doing all original work. Contemporary social issues is what we focus on in the Watts community. This is an underserved, predominantly African American and Latino community. It's actually now over 80% Latino. And so since there's not yet any permanent theater or professional theater space in Watts, we're nomadic. So we perform everywhere. We perform on the streets, in the parks.
I noticed Meet Me at Metro.
Yes, and we perform on and around the Metro. Our signature show is Meet Me at Metro. We do it annually. We just finished our second show, Meet Me at Metro 2. And so what we do is we take the audience on the train, and you get off the train station, and there's a theater company doing a show. Then you get back on the train, you go to the next station, you get off, there's another theater company doing a show. And we collaborate with 7 different theater companies throughout Los Angeles and actually New York as well. And we're open to other theater companies around the country, but each of them do like a 10-minute piece all the way down the line.
What a cool idea, especially in a town that at least a lot of people on the East Coast don't even realize there is a Metro in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's not used very widely. People in Los Angeles love their cars.
I also wanted to ask about black words on white paper.
Black Words on White Pages.
Pages.
Yes, yes. And that's our signature playwriting series. That started in 2006. We also do that annually. So it's a new work. We will commission a playwright from an underserved community that has not been able to get their work published. And we will provide for them a director, a stage manager, and actors, and a place to perform their work. And so they will be able to write a piece about a certain social issue happening in the community, and we will develop that work for them and do a professional stage reading of it. And then if we get good feedback and if we get success from the stage reading based on the feedback from our community, then we'll go ahead and we'll turn that into a main stage production for them.
And I assume that all of you like the idea of new work and do a certain amount of new work, but how does that fit into the overall scheme?
We have commissioned a number of new plays. In our 7-year history, there are actually 3 new works that were created. Our very first play, a play called Remains, dealt with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and has since been done in Minnesota and in San Francisco by other companies. We commissioned a play about adoption back in 2005 by Kimberly, and which was involved interviews with people connected to the issues of adoption, and then produced that in 2007. So it was a long 2-year incubation period. And then most recently, we've commissioned a play called Sila, which looks at the intersections of race, class, and the environment and climate change, written by Chantal Bilodeau. And that has gone through a 2-year development process, and it involves puppetry and projections and a number of other things. So we're hoping to get some more funding to continue developing that piece of work.
And did your theater do Stick Fly?
We did, yes, just this past February, March, which was, fantastic to do, and it's wonderful to see that it's about to open on Broadway. How exciting!
I like the fact that when I asked you about the plays, you didn't bring it up. I had to bring it up because I think there's a general sense that the theaters across the country long for New York or want plays to come to New York, but also so much of the vitality is in the community. So I think that's great.
Well, one of the ways we've been doing new work is with companies more of this size, where we've been doing rolling or joint world premieres. We've done one a year for the past 5 years, where we have a play we love and we reach out to 2 or 3 other theaters around the country and say, hey, do you guys want to do this too? And we all do it within a year, and we all get the world premiere status for the play. So we really help launch the playwright in the play, and we're able to all get world premieres, So it's actually taking it away from the New York model a little bit and sort of taking it into our own hands, I think, which has been a great way for us to build partnerships with other theaters around the country and help raise national profile for what we're doing. So that's,
Excellent.
I was like, I want to see some of this
Yeah.
you're working on so that we can,
Yeah,
I'd love to talk about that.
We've taken, with the original play route, we've taken we have a short works festival called The Seven, which will be in its 7th year. And by short works, we say try to limit it to 10, 11 pages, not necessarily 10 minutes, and you know what that means. So over the course of the last 7 years, we've really been able to create some terrific relationships with playwrights, where we're then identifying and taking the next step, getting into play readings, and actually, just saying a little bit earlier, we have to be very careful how we balance with our theater-going community in our town. Acting as a regional theater company, we do bring the premieres regionally of Red and Dowd and August Osage County and plays like that. But we're also able to, as a result of this relationship with these playwrights, a 2-time winner actually of the festival, we're premiering a piece, soon to be classic holiday piece called "You Can't Get a Decent Margarita at the North Pole," and we're opening that in December. And so it's been a really wonderful process because, as you know, throwing original work at a local audience that might be expecting something else is always the big challenge of balancing that art and commerce. And I think we're at the point now where our model really will be towards producing a lot more new original work.
You should do a double bill with Kafka on Ice.
Yes, that's right.
And margaritas and ice skating. Hasn't your company become the sort of linchpin of an arts center in downtown Albuquerque?
Yeah, I also, like everyone else, we wear a lot of different hats. I also serve as New Mexico has 6 arts and cultural districts, and I serve as downtown Albuquerque's as the manager of that arts and cultural district. And it's actually a state program developed through state tourism and the economic development program in the state. And we're identifying, the big catchphrases: innovation, collaboration, and placemaking. As you always know what grant's coming up by who's saying those words most often.
The new normal.
Yeah. And we're actually our theater we moved into. It's an old 1910. Actually predates New Mexico by 2 years. An old the phone number and book that we found in the old, it's a fruit and vegetable warehouse next to the train tracks. The phone number that we saw in a picture that said number 279. So the Wild West, Albuquerque. And in our area, we were the first to kind of move in